Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of This Week in Philadelphia Sports with myself, Liam Jenkins, where, as you might have guessed it, we go over everything that's happened this week in Philadelphia sports. Again, if you're new to this channel and you haven't yet hit that subscribe button, it would mean a lot to us if you could join our community. We're so close to 20,000 subscribers and it would be great if you could help us reach that milestone by joining the 20k club. And as always, don't forget your daily dose of Philadelphia sports coverage can be found over at phillysportsnetwork.com. If you just check the website, one or two times a day, you may find articles like this which I wrote earlier today, discussing the report that the Eagles will be picking up Derek Barnett's 5th-year option. At other times, you may refresh it and find this, Eagles Rookies as 1975 songs. But that kind of leads on to where we're going to be talking about today. Now, typically, this show, This Week in Philadelphia Sports, goes over the last 7 days. Now, most of that has been the NFL draft, which is fine, but we have been all over the NFL draft. We had 35 hours worth of live streaming almost. We had like 20 articles. We have been as on the draft as you physically could be. We have gone into a restaurant and demanded a full 7-course dinner of the NFL draft and then given it to everyone else in the restaurant. So we won't be talking about the picks made. What we will be talking about, the Eagles unveiled 12 undrafted free agents yesterday, and I wanted to take a bit of time to spotlight some of those and highlight some of their ceilings and where they may be looking to break onto the roster. So it's not going to be the funny laid back episode as we normally have that's full of really bad jokes. Just the odd couple this time. So without further ado, buckle up, strap yourselves in, grab a beer. We're going to take a look at the Eagles undrafted free agent haul because, well, otherwise I'm going to be repeating myself and that's no fun. But fear not, those who want more rookie content, there will be an Eagles film room, wait for it, on each and every single draft pick. That is 10 Eagles film rooms. They're going to probably happen over the next 5 weeks. I'll try and get 2 a week up for you guys. It's going to be a grind, so make sure you're sticking around. We can find out together just how much upside this rookie class really has. But I did just want to say, our man Chris Infante tweeted earlier today that the Eagles actually had third fastest average grade of any team that selected multiple wide receivers in the draft. And if we took Jalen Reagor's combine time and moved that to, let's say, a 4.3 as opposed to the ridiculously quick 4.22, just to be safe, it would still put them number 1 with an average of 4.36. So it's safe to say the need for speed was all over the roster, and it also bled into their undrafted free agents, which is where we're going to be looking now. Now, they opened up this announcement with 12, and they did it a day before they were allowed to. We stand a team that just doesn't play by the rules. The Eagles are becoming the bad boys of the NFL. I mean, they're not. They're just becoming very quick boys of the NFL. First up, Elijah Riley, cornerback out of Army. He first caught my attention ahead of the Shrine game, and I love what I saw on tape. He's 6 foot, 205 pounds, and while he may be a little bit undersized, he fits that mold of what the Eagles are looking for in a cornerback very, very nicely. He gave Michigan hell during the 2019 season as well, amassing 13 tackles, 2 sacks, and a forced fumble. The guy is a scrappy, aggressive machine. He's not the most technically sound corner in the world, but his main strength is tackling securely, and when we look at what the Eagles really do demand from their cornerbacks, not named Darius Slay, tackling is certainly one of those assets, especially in off coverage. So there's a lot to like about that pick. He's someone I think that could be a fringe practice squad player that could be seen as a long-term developmental option. Now at Togiai, I hope I'm saying that right, tight end out of Oregon State. He's 6'4", 246 pounds, and he's someone that is more of a receiving tight end. Actually, the 6th Oregon State tight end to end his tenure with the team with over 1,000 receiving yards. So he's not quite the inline blocker the Eagles are looking for, however, more so, a little bit more toward that Trey Burton undrafted mold. Let's not forget the former Florida Gator was an undrafted free agent and built that role up. So the Eagles getting a receiving option there that they could maybe work in to compete with Josh Perkins over that TE3 spot. Grayland Arnold, he's a 5'9" defensive back, 2nd team All Big 12 honoree, and he had 5 interceptions in 2019 as well as having experience in the return game. So what have we learned here? Again, a very quick cornerback. Someone that ran a 4.59 40-yard dash. So he's certainly no slouch, and again, could be looking on the back end of that roster. Now, the next one I absolutely love. Adrian Killins out of UCF. This guy absolutely flies. 5'6", 183 pounds, had 629 yards and 7 touchdowns last year, but the biggest takeaway for me is that this is a Boston Scott kind of player. It's someone that is just so lethally fast in open space. Someone that I think is going to captivate our hearts in preseason. If you're looking for a running back to fall in love with, if you're looking for the next Paul Turner or I suppose Byron Marshall for a running back comparison of a preseason hero, I genuinely feel like Killings is going to be that guy. I guess you could say he's going to make a killing in the Eagles team. I'll leave. Now, I know the Eagles were high on Luke Juriger out of Western Michigan. He's a centre, 6'4", 298 pounds. The Eagles actually met with him before the NFL draft, so you can see where that interest has certainly carried over for them. It was a first-team All-MAC, and he was a team captain. So, again, developmental talent should be on that bottom end of the roster. It will be interesting to see, again, if Jack Driscoll moves in towards that centre position, and if Juriger can maybe give him a run for his money there as someone that has played that position natively for the last few years. That would, I think, be the good grading comparison. Freakishly athletic tackle moving inside. Someone that isn't quite as athletic but has played the position more consistently. That'll be a fun narrative to watch. Michael Warren is another running back getting some love. He's a bit thicker, a bit more of a bruiser. Coming out of Cincinnati, and he had 1,265 rushing yards last year. He's someone that I think gets his head down, sticks his foot in the ground, and he bursts through gaps. That's, I think, what the Eagles were missing outside of Jordan Howard. And given that they hadn't taken on another running back, they hadn't replaced him through the draft or signed the free agent, that running back corp at the minute, knowing that there is no Corey Clement anymore either, they could do with maybe a more tough-nosed runner to help take some of the weight off Miles Sanders, who is basically LaShawn McCoy 2.0. So I understand that move. He could well be a running back that, like Clement, eases his way into the rotation, sticks onto the back end of a roster, and begins to make his impact towards the back end of the season. Dante Olsen, a linebacker out of Montana. He had 179 tackles in 1 year. He led the entire FCS, 179. That's like a lot of tackles. He also had 3.5 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. I think this could be a very fun pick. We know last year the Eagles went after Joey Alfieri, TJ Edwards as undrafted free agents. Alex Singleton was another name associated with that crop. I think the Eagles are onto something here. You bring in linebackers, you develop them up. We know they drafted Davion Taylor and, of course, Bradley as well. I don't mind either of those selections, but this is a guy I think that I'm genuinely a little bit excited about to see how he fares in the preseason. Can he be someone that sneaks into the back end of that roster? If he can take that FCS production and put it at the NFL level, this is going to be another fringe player to watch that I think could make some noise in the preseason and maybe even beyond. Julian Good-Jones, hey, I'm a sucker for people with double-barreled last names. Out of Iowa State, he had 49 consecutive starts. 49! That's a lot. I think that's at a new record. He does have a pair of suspensions to his name, but again, developmental talent. I always like seeing offensive linemen being brought in for a very low price because Jeff Stoutland's a wizard, and I think he's going to be able to do some wonders here. Raekwon Williams had his name linked with the Eagles a fair amount throughout this draft process, and although he went undrafted, he does end up in Philadelphia now. He's 6'4", 308 pounds, had 7.5 tackles for a loss and 5 sacks in 2019, so he's a penetrative, if that's a word, pass rusher, and although defensive tackle depth is stacked, very much a practice squad candidate. If you go back and look at guys like Bruce Hector, for instance, we know the Eagles have really valued people that can come off the practice squad in a pinch, make a bit of an impact, and I think that's where they could see Raekwon Williams. But realistically, getting past someone like Anthony Rush might not be as easy as it looks. Michael Jackett out of Louisiana Lafayette, obviously flying the flag for the Sun Belt Conference here, reminds me a lot of Jamalcolm Liggins, a very small school player signed by the Eagles last year, in the way that he doesn't quite fit that conventional mould. His wingspan is 4 inches longer than any other DB at the combine. He's like the wacky wailing inflatable arm flailing tube man, alright? He's a monster. He's had 14 passes defensed over the last 2 years, a very raw defensive back, but again, with that athletic frame, you're just throwing him into the deep end this summer, seeing what you can get out of him, and he could well be a long-term project, but we know the Eagles like going for some of those athletic specimens. Liggins was a fine example, and I think that follows suit here. Also following suit, it would be no undrafted class without Prince Smith Jr., another, believe it or not, defensive back out of a tiny school, New Hampshire, the school in question. He did have 2 picks against Delaware though, so that may be where the Eagles originally picked up on him. He's 5'10", 185, so going to be relegated to a nickel role. There's already a lot of traffic there. Again, just a fun name I think to throw in, see what he can do over the course of the offseason. If you guys want to see some film rooms on these players, do let me know. We'll try and cook something up. That will make 22 film rooms I've got to get through, so we'll see what we can do there. Then the Eagles went and signed Khalil Tate, a former quarterback who has moved to wide receiver. So we're noticing a pattern. Greg Ward's done it. You've then got Jalen Hurts, who apparently can play running back now. And then you've got this young man as well. So you can see where the Eagles are trying to get that speed on offense. It seems to be a trade that has gone very, very deep into their undrafted free agents. But is there an undrafted free agent that has caught your eye? Let me know down in the comments, guys. I know this video is a little bit different than the normal This Week in Philadelphia Sports, but until we get back to some sense of normality. So again, make sure you stick around and hit that subscribe button. There's plenty of Eagles content coming your way from myself, Liam Jenkins. You can catch all of our content at phillysportsnetwork.com. I'll see you soon.